All right. So, what don't you feel comfortable with when you're around the green? What shots do you like to hit? And which shots don't you like to hit?
I've always been, kind of a big fan of throwing it up in the air and putting a little bit of spin on it. So anytime where, I really just got to throw it up in the air, not much green to work with, I feel fairly comfortable.
Okay.
I like to manipulate the face and kind of play around with the trajectories a little bit, but I really struggle whenever I have a lot of green to work with.
Okay.
I guess that, I don't know why, but I guess that it's probably not best for me to chip with my 60 all the time like I do.
Right. Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
that's why I start to feel uncomfortable, because I guess there's less margin for error.
Okay. So like if I was going to tell you to hit to that far flag out there,
Yeah.
okay, step up to the ball like you're going to hit. And I want you to tell me what's going through your head. What are you thinking? What swing thoughts are going through your head? Is it negative, positive? What are you normally thinking when you step up to a shot? Because you clearly don't feel comfortable with it, but I want to know what you're thinking in terms of that.
So for going into the back pin, I'm just going to try to hit it with more of a square face and with the rest of my body pretty square, and just kind of make like a smaller golf swing, kind of something like this.
Okay. Okay.
That one turned
I mean, it definitely helps. I would, in my opinion, so hitting with a 60-degree wedge is not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's a good thing when you're playing a golf course with a little bit longer fairways, because you can get a little bit more loft on it, you can open it up a little bit more, and you can fly it to the hole, and that's fine because you have cushy lies, where you can stop the ball pretty quickly. In a case where, let's say you're playing a high-end private course that has very tight fairways, about right around the greens, you really don't want to do that. In a situation like that, I'm taking out either, depending on how much green you have, you can play a bump and run shot where you take out, a 9 or an 8 iron. I don't know how you feel about a bump and run shot.
I would like to incorporate it. I just still, at this point, I don't feel comfortable with hitting it.
Okay, well, we can work on that a little bit too. But in a situation like this, if you're not fully comfortable with that kind of shot, I would take a 56 or even a 52 and almost play it like you play your 60. One thing that I would like you to do, and I learned this back in high school, was let's get a ball out there, line up to it, and I just want to see what your setup's like from this angle. So what my golf coach told me, now don't hit anything, but if that's your setup right there, what my golf coach told me was this: simply press your hands forward like that, and don't break your wrist. Just keep it ahead of the ball. Keep the front of the shaft ahead of the ball. And it definitely is going to have a little bit lower trajectory.
Yeah.
Now, in a situation like that, you got to take into account that it probably will roll out a little bit more than you will with your 60-degree wedge. So you're not going to want to hit it as far, but you can clearly see that it is a lot lower trajectory. It's almost like it's a modified bump and run is what it is. It's not necessarily a bump and run, but it will allow you to get the ball further back to like a far pin placement like that on greens that are softer. Now, on greens that are firmer, maybe you want to take a 60, maybe you want to play a bump and run. That's where bump and run would be good, because you're keeping it on the ground as long as possible, and you're getting it to you're basically putting it is what you're doing. You're keeping it on the ground. These greens here, they're clearly not that firm.
Yeah.
So, you definitely want to, hit a shot like this. It's okay to do that. But, I want you to do what you feel comfortable with. And I think starting out with a shot like this is going to help you progress to a bump and run. I really do. I think you can do it. You're a good golfer. You know that. You can hit a bump and run. It just takes a lot of practice. But we'll start with this.
Yeah, I think that's the number one problem, is I just don't practice a lot. Definitely not as much as I did when I was in high school. So
definitely.
Just got to find something that's comfortable, for me to hit.
Okay.
When I'm not practicing it that often.
Okay.